Yes, sir. We are back with another San Francisco 49ers 2023 draft pick breakdown. And this time it is Darrell Luter Jr., cornerback out of South Alabama. All right, we're going to get into the things I think he does well, the things that were very consistent on film, things I want to see more of. All right, a little bit more versatility there. All right, how does he match up with the cornerbacks on the roster right now? Ambry Thomas, Diamador Lenore, Samuel Womack, those guys kind of competing for an outside cornerback spot. We're going to get into all that and more. Will he be a fifth round gem for your San Francisco 49ers? Another fifth round gem, all right, to kind of throw in with guys like Talanoa Hufanga, George Kittle, Dre Greenlaw. Diamador Lenore, I'm going to throw him in that mix too. A guy who started pretty much most of last season for the San Francisco 49ers at the cornerback spot. And I think Luther can potentially compete with him, all right? But who is Darrell Luter? We're talking about a 6-foot corner, 190 pounds, which for me, that's the sweet spot for corners. I know everybody wants like these 6'3" guys, 6'4" guys. They're enamored with that, but for movement skill purposes and kind of versatility, give me the 6 foot, 190-pound guy. And not only is he 6 foot, 190 pounds, he also has extremely long arms. We're talking about dang near 33-inch arm length. I don't know where that measures up with the rest of the draft class, but it has to be up there. I mean, those are really long arms. And I'm not even one to get like overly excited about a cornerback with long arms. Whatever. I don't care as much, but it does kind of close some windows off, especially in zones. Maybe if a quarterback is trying to throw a layer throw and you just have an extra inch and a half, 2 inches of arm length to be able to kind of tip that ball away. I think it helps there. But really long arms. And his testing didn't stop there for things that I'm intrigued with. 4.46 40-yard dash at the combine, terrific. 40.5-inch vertical leap at the combine, terrific. 10-3 broad jump, 6'1", cone. So right there, I mean, you would think that this is a guy who, on the athletic spectrum is really good. For some reason, he's not as high. I think it was like 28th or 29th overall in terms of athleticism for the cornerback position at the combine. But when I look at those numbers, I'm like, nah, that's legit. That's legit. Those are all things that you ideally would like. All right. Now let's talk about who he is on the field. And right away, you read some of the scouting reports and they talk about a lot of press man. There's a lot of it. Okay. So he's a press man guy, extremely, extremely, extremely patient. Probably the other two corners I could think of that were as patient as Darrell Luter, probably Patrick Surtain and Tyson Campbell. And those guys were in the same draft class, I believe. They actually went to high school together out there in Florida. All right. So coached up by my guy, Chad Wilson. Shout out to Chad Wilson. All right. But very patient. I think he has that level of patience. Where I think it really helped him was never really putting himself in too bad of position. And that's what being patient does, is always really square at the line of scrimmage. That's terrific. Now I can change direction. I can turn and run either way. I can watch guys down the line of scrimmage. I thought that was extremely, extremely, extremely consistent. Okay. I feel like even right now, as he goes to the NFL, I know exactly what I'm getting as a press man cornerback. I can line them up there, and I'm comfortable with that. Now, where I feel like he can kind of help himself a little bit in terms of just press, and really has to do more with alignment than something that's real. You really have to coach him up or bad habits. He lines up like 2 yards, maybe 3 yards off the line of scrimmage sometimes, and I actually kind of teach the opposite. That's probably what he's being coached up to do. Maybe. I don't know. But I like guys, hug that space. I actually tell my guys, line up off sides and then check with the referee. All you got to do is just point to the referee like that, and he'll tell you back up. All right. And we want to back up, but we want to really take that space away. We don't want to create the space based off of our alignment. All right. So right away, there's times where guys kind of can get a little run at him a little bit and move. And he is so patient. There's times where he still gets hands on, but there's sometimes where because of that, it allows kind of this created space, and then he never touches a guy. And then the guy just kind of runs in. And I think it kind of helps them kind of be a little bit more detached from him. Now, he still does a good job at times just kind of squeezing the top of that route there, but he gets hands on sometimes. I think he's a guy that can get hands on 90% of the time. And getting hands on at the cornerback position is tough, but he is so patient. I think he can get way more hands on than what he's getting if he just lined up a little bit closer to the receiver. He has good feet, though, so it doesn't hurt him. And if a receiver is off the ball, I get it. But I'm talking about guys on the ball, ex-receiver, because he plays a lot to the boundary. All right, and he can get hands on way more than he does. Again, not bad, but something that I would just tell him, dude, hug that line a little bit more. Hug that line a little more. All right. Uh, I think when it comes to press and even playing press against some of the bigger guys, there's a rep right here in the end zone against Chad Bobo where I thought he did a terrific job of, again, staying square, watching the guy, and he started off chest to chest, and then he flipped. Don't flip, all right? Because when you flip like that, what you allow the receiver to do is just give you a little nudge. And if he just nudges you like that, it's going to look like offensive pass interference, or it's going to feel like that to the cornerback, and it's going to help him create just enough space to fade to the ball. That ain't happened on this rep, but that's just something that I know it happens all the time. Once you turn your back to the receiver, he gives you that little this, and he goes up, catches the ball, touchdown. Everybody's mad. 49 fan base is extremely disappointed in you. All right, so don't do that. What we want to do is what he initially did. Chest to chest, look through the receiver this way, and then go play the ball. Stay like that. Stay like that, and you really help yourself. All right. Is there a weakness in his press? I would say at times at the top of route, I feel like he can be a little scrappier or like squeeze the top of route or maybe play with a little bit more anticipation at the top of the route. All right. To really kind of hug that space and really just be like that scrappy, that pesky guy. I didn't quite see the nastiness at the top of the route. Yeah, give me a flag or two. Right. And I know nobody likes flags, but I want to see a guy be a little bit more aggressive at the top. Now, not to the extent of the cornerback Mekhi Blackman out of USC. He was maybe a little bit overboard, but I would like to actually tell you to tone it down some, as opposed to, hey, I need you to be more aggressive at the top of the route. So I think that's something he can do. It's just squeezing and just being a little bit more, playing with a little bit more anticipation. I think that's an area he can improve with his press coverage, alignment, and really making sure that he doesn't like create that space for guys to run their routes. All right. An area where I was extremely impressed, right? Even more so than how consistent he was and patient he was, impressed, but really his catch technique. We're talking about a guy that would sit off 5, 6, 7 yards off and just sit. And he was so patient. Dude, that's so hard to get guys to understand or be confident enough to be that patient. And he'd stay there and he'd just catch guys. Catch, run with them. Catch, run with them. Catch, and breaking route. And then, I mean, it was a thing of beauty. He might take a step or so, but he was not in any type of hurry to get out of there. And that was consistent no matter the games that I watched, no matter the type of receiver. It could be a quick, shifty guy, or it could be a tight end. And you look at these tight ends right here and what he's doing, knocking guys to the ground, getting in their hip pocket, challenging balls and going up and trying to break them up at the catch point. But his catch technique was hella good. I mean, these were things that really excite me as someone who, I train athletes, I coach cornerbacks, and it's hard to get a guy. Again, he's super patient and press, but he's even more patient or just as patient in off catch. I mean, I can't tell you how much guys get in like a panic. All right. And there was no panic with him playing catch, at least in the games that I watched. So that was something that was really, really good to see. So the one thing I wanted to see a little bit more of was probably more off zone. I did see some zone from press alignment, and I saw some of that from Avery Thomas at Michigan. But he's at the line of scrimmage. A guy takes a hard inside release or a shallow, and he just kind of falls off and drops into space, and then looks to kind of maybe rob something or find work. And I thought he did a terrific job of that. But there were some clips where I was like, okay, this was pretty good. And the first one I want to talk about is pressure key, visual key. Looks like some form of kind of cover two or like a cloud cornerback where he gets hands on, and that's your pressure key. All right. So one guy running at you is your pressure key. You get hands on, you're reading through one to see two. All right. And if two comes out, so if two doesn't come out, I can stay with one and keep sinking. If two does come out, then I can break off of that and make a tackle, which he did. And he was a terrific job making this tackle here. There weren't a whole lot of tackles that I saw him do. There was another open field tackle on a running back that was kind of scrambling around, and he did a good job of that. But for the most part, it was good to see him just kind of throw his body around. He's not the biggest of guys, 6'1", 190 pounds, or 6 foot, 190 pounds. But the tackling, I thought it looked good there. So how does he fit with the San Francisco 49ers? Right now, the 49ers have a new defensive coordinator, and that's Wilkes. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm more of a technical person as opposed to a schematic person. So I'm not going to watch Carolina film and see exactly what he did or whatever. I don't care about that. I just want to know, can he fit? And if he fits with what Kyle Shanahan has had his coaches kind of do over the last couple of years, they started kind of going more to like a quarters. He didn't run a whole lot of off quarters. With my eye, again, I'm not a schematic person. I saw a whole lot of man, but he definitely he looks like someone who can play off quarters and have no issues with that. Looks like a good press guy, but when you watch him from off and his ability to play catch, man, as long as he has good eyes, I could teach that. I could teach the eyes. And I think they're good. But as long as he has good zone eyes, I don't think it'd be any issue being able to play a quarters or being able to play cover three. But I would like to see the 49ers, man, use this guy at the line of scrimmage a lot, whether it's zone, whether it's man. And when I say zone, playing with the New York Jets, I remember Coach Dennis Thurman had told me, like, dude, you can play press alignment from any coverage. It just depends on the coverage, and that's going to dictate your alignment. So if it's cover three, you're going to be outside shade. If it's man, you're going to be inside shade. Cover two, outside shade. All right. Cover three, bail, whatever it is. But you just got, Raider coverage, you might be outside shade. You got some trap stuff as well. So it just depends on the coverage, but you can play with your alignment at the line of scrimmage. All right. And that's what I would have him do. Use him to his strengths. He can play off. I think that looked good. NFL receivers are going to challenge him more than what I saw in some of the games that I watched. But overall, thought this was a good guy. Now, can he compete for a starting spot? All right, and this is where you start to look at the 49ers and them gems that they've been finding. Can he be another one of those guys? You're going to be competing right now. Look, Travis Ward, he has his spot. But Diamador Lenore, Ambry Thomas, Samuel Womack, can you compete with those guys? All right, and I think so. I ain't see anything on film that was like, oh, he can't compete with them. Oh, man, he's heavy-footed. Oh, man, the change of direction is just extremely poor. All right. Nah, I think this is a guy that legitimately can compete. Now, I think he needs to get a little bit closer, man. That's going to help him at the line of scrimmage and be even more consistent and press. But overall, I think we might be looking at another fifth-round gem. We're going to see. That's probably, out of all the guys, I'm really excited about the linebacker out of TCU. But Luter, that's another one who I'm excited to watch play as well. All right, y'all. So that's going to do it for this segment on Darrell Luter Jr., cornerback out of South Alabama. What did y'all see? Let me know. Is this a guy that you like, what? I'm excited about this. Between him and the TCU linebacker, I don't really like TCU linebacker, but he's pretty intriguing as well. You see the athletic traits, you see the upside, you see the consistency on film. Probably one of the more easier evals because there just wasn't a lot of bad on there in the games that I watched. All right. But hey, man, y'all do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and go watch the other guys, Jair Brown and Ronnie Bell. Peace.